Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to this month's Poem Jam. I'm John Smalley and I'm a librarian with the San Francisco Public Library. So while we're waiting for everyone to join us, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our community and to tell you about a couple of our upcoming programs. Give me one moment.
We can get started. We're on there. We're on. Okay.
No.
All right, sorry for the delay. On behalf of the Public Library, we wish to welcome you to the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. As the indigenous stewards of the land, and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place. As guests, we who reside in their traditional territory recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush Ohlone community, and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. On Wednesday, February 16th, authors Frankie Bailey, Tracy Clark, Dahlia Pitts, Faye Snowden, and Abby Van Diver will discuss Midnight Hour, a chilling anthology of crime fiction by 20 authors of color. And at the end of the month, on Thursday, February 24th, in the main library's Crett Auditorium, also online via Zoom, the author Charlie Jane Anders talks with journalists Peter Hautlaub and Heather Knight about writing, writers, bookstores, San Francisco, and her latest novel, Victories Greater Than Death. So that ends my announcements of upcoming programs. I'd now like to turn the microphone over to Poem Jam's host, the poet Kim Shuck, who will introduce today's program and readers. Thank you. Take it away, Kim.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited about tonight. I'm always excited when the PovertySkolas come to the Poem Jam. It's always a lot less work for me because they're so incredibly organized, but also just I love the words, the heart, and everything else. I'm always excited about this. So I am not going to babble too much at you. We have, not only is this month great, we have two really great months coming up for March and April. In March, we're doing a reading with just fantastic women. Not that we don't always do that, just that we're making sure that that's the focus in March. And then in April, our focus is going to be incarcerated poets. Not just in the US, but elsewhere, and poets whose work has been banned. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Tiny PovertySkola, who has been a friend, who I've read with a lot, and who has a new book out, and the people that she's brought with her. And I see Dee Allen over there too, who I have not had the opportunity to say hello to yet. Hello, Dee Allen. Welcome, everyone, and take it away, Tiny.
I'm that poverty scholar, that houseless mama, that houseless daughter, all those people you don't want to see, never want to be. Look away from me. What you gonna do? Arrest me? We're in your city. Yeah, we be swept, kicked, and evict. That's what happens when you see me. Swept, kicked, and evict. That's what happens when you see me. You see that houseless mom and daughter sleeping in a tent? That's because we don't got money for the rent. Yeah, I'm a poverty scholar and I rock my jailhouse attire because me and my poor mama did jail time for the poverty crime of being houseless in this occupied indigenous holler. Shout out to my mama and all of the and broken and traumatized mamas who sit alongside me, who I walk shoulder to shoulder with every day in this Stolen America KKK. We are your clients and your consumers, your nonprofit off of poverty product. We are all those people that you never want to see, you want to look away from, and you always want to arrest. So yeah, we speaking up, standing up, and resisting up, because we have solutions. It's just nobody listens up when it comes from people like us. And that's what tonight is about. That's what Poor Press is about. And that's what this liberation is about. And we want to lift up the San Francisco Public Library for allowing us access. Thank you. Thank you on every level for opening doors and recognizing that our voices do matter. And also shouts out to all the poor people who went in the SFPL just to pee. And sadly, sometimes we're dragged out with security guards. I'm not putting that on this space tonight, but I am naming it because that is what we do. Always walk in truth and always walk to remind all of us that we've all been lied to by capitalism. And we all have a different walk that we can do. Want to shout out to our sister Kim for also enabling and inserting this powerful medicine and all the work that she always does is an Indigenous woman, a warrior shero. And our other warrior First Nation sheroes, Karina Gold, who walks with us in this work, and Fui Fui, and so many more. Oh, Mateo. So without further ado, tonight, this beautiful Poor Press, like all of our Poor Press events, begins with prayer. And we are blessed to have one of our warrior elders, my Tío from another father, the powerful warrior musician and prayer bringer, none other than Jose Cuellar, starting us out with the prayer with his beautiful flauta.
Thank you, all my relations. It's an honor to be with you. And in this evening, I want to also recall and call the name of Leonard Peltier, who is in prison, who is ill, and who needs to be freed. He needs to be led home, sent home on compassionate release or on home confinement, but he has to go home to his folks. And so this inspiration goes out to them, to the ancestors, Yoloni, and to all the current poverty scholars and poets who struggle to make this a better society. Oh, all my relations. Thank you.
Wado.
Thank you. And I just want to lift up that Dr. Jose Cuellar, aka Dr. Loco, is a powerful warrior, a member of our POOR Magazine, Prensa Pobre Familia, also a poverty scholar himself who infiltrated AKKdemia by any means necessary with the medicine and the love. Oh, Mateo.
Oh, Mateo.
Yes. Okay. So it goes.
Thank you so much.
So I'm gonna bring in my POOR Magazine Familia of houseless and formerly houseless co-writers, cultural revolutionaries, poets, dreamers, and what I call mama festers of the poor and homeless people-led movement and vision known as POOR Magazine and Homefulness. We say us poor people built these homes with a poem.
Órale, familia, again, thank you, Brother Jose Cuellar, beautiful flute, and Kim also for the opportunity. Muteado silencio, presente y me alegro. Mis palabras son mis balas, mi lápiz es mi arma. Muteado silencio, my words are my bullets. My pen is my gun. So sit back and relax. Migrante from Michoacán, Mexico, doing the Slam Bio. Again, part of also one of the families here, a resident of Homefulness, landless people, self-determined solution. A little bit for the folks who don't know about the POOR Magazine Familia. Coming out of struggle, coming out of poverty, being still one paycheck away from being on the sidewalk motels. And again, the Poverty Scholars are not only here in the US, but also are found in the favelas, in the ghettos in Mexico, and throughout the world. We are the Poverty Scholars.
Oh, Mateo.
This is D. Allen, displaced, evicted, poet and press author and land liberator, and now resident of the landless homeless people's solution movement called Homefulness. What is Press? Press is the publishing arm of POE Magazine that was launched in 1998 by Mama D and Tiny, and is dedicated to the publishing of the writings of Poe, houseless, disabled, incarcerated poverty scholars. So the framework of Poe Press and all of our change work is the original theory of poverty scholarship. What is poverty scholarship? This is an excerpt from the poverty scholarship textbook that y'all were seeing before you. Poor people-led theory, art, words, and tears across Mama Earth. The notion of poverty scholarship was born in the calles, prisons, street corners, community centers, welfare offices, shelters, kitchen tables, assembly lines, tenements, favelas, projects, and ghettos. All the places people don't look for educators, experts, leaders, researchers, lecturers, linguists, artists, creative thinkers, writers, and media producers.
We are told our knowledge is not valid. It's not legitimate. Our speech is improper. Our work and our choices, criminal. Our words, inept. We are usually silenced, incarcerated, criminalized, displaced, or called illiterate. And the shame of poverty and disability itself in this stolen land is the dominant narrative of what knowledge even is. And what we do as poor people is take care of each other. We resist the savior industrial complex.
The first Poe Press book we're going to feature tonight is the Homefulness Handbook. This new book here, which is written, lived, and dreamt by all of us poverty scholars, and many more not here tonight, and many more who have made their journey to the ancestral plane. So Ibaye to Lori McElroy, Mama D,
Oh, Mateo.
and Kathy Galvez, rest in peace. The following words are from the Homefulness Handbook, from land back to Black land, from alive discovery to the colonial settler live private property, from the Black Panthers to Move Africa, Zapatistas, to Segurite Land Trust, and to Homefulness Land Trust in what? How do poor, houseless, indigenous, evicted, disabled, folks border terrorized people from all four corners of Mama Earth, now residing on stolen and occupied Turtle Island, actually buy land and build permanent homes, food justice, art, and healing community for ourselves and the world?
The question almost seems unanswerable. The vision seems almost unrealizable in what I call a capitalist system. Oh yeah, I did say I like to mess with the colonial words, whose entire criminal injustice system is set up to protect the settler lie of private property. And I want people to hold that in their hearts, whoever's here tonight, with which we love, because we've all been lied to about Mama Earth's commodification. But this lie must be unpacked. These myths and messages of hoarding, accumulating, buying, selling, evicting, incarcerating, sweeping, and stealing must be untold, unsold, and unlearned. And I want people to just hold that, because this is just a little bit of the medicine of the Homefulness Handbook, but it goes out to all of our fellow poverty scholars and also housed people with resources, because we cannot do this alone. We're gonna hear a beautiful excerpt from this absolutely beautiful artist, writer, and my neighbor at Homefulness, Brother D, from the Homefulness Handbook. It's called Beyond.
Beyond. 3 homes stand amidst this lush garden so far, 2 in back, 1 in front, soon to be 7 with faux straw bale dwellings added to the liberated land. A cafe, a library, a radio station, a media center where the destitute, evicted, displaced, gentrified out can write their own tales from their own standpoint, reaching digital streets live on Wi-Fi. A school to decolonize poor children from the ways of genocide masters and relearn ancestors' knowledge thought to be lost to history. A barnyard with livestock supplying families' needs, milk and cheese from goats, eggs from chickens. None of these are utopian dreams. They're what this lush garden produces every day, aside from vegetables and vines scaling up the chain link steel fence. All of these began with a dream. Somewhere in 1990s Oakland, a self-determination vision was discussed between mother and daughter inside a parked car they both slept in. Their ambition was a solution to extreme poverty. Their words contained an alternative to sleeping in cars, owning scraps of lives, living nowhere, deemed undesirable to the eyes. From homelessness to homefulness. Flash forward 2012, when the right place was found. The smothering asphalt covering the land had to be broken, lifted, hauled away. The dream had to live beyond 2 homeless females. The dust had long cleared, the construction tools long in storage, the asphalt long removed, the land long mended, seeded, planted, and flourishing still. Homefulness means everyone has a home, even plants and animals. It also means there's nothing this one-way system can offer us that we couldn't teach, build, or farm ourselves. Each passing day, each new project on this land are overtures, movements conducted from Oakland's deep east, long blighted on purpose toward lives without undue hardship, beyond just ideas. Movements toward the growing green future beyond this lush garden and the comfortable life of capitalism.
Oh, again, that's in the Homefulness Handbook. And I just want to let you all know that the Homefulness Handbook is the journey and the how-to of all of us poverty scholars, evicted and houseless people to spiritually and legally unsell Mama Earth and build the vision that is homefulness. And to all the warriors who are here, who deal with the violence called sweeps, we cannot continue. We cannot continue the same way.
Handbook go to build homefulness. We will come out all encampments, street corners, schools, universities, communities to share this work with fellow poverty scholars and conscious world holders ready to live a different way. And it's time to change what's happening to Mama Earth. And again, this is just a template, and we definitely want to we're already helping folks in Seattle, Washington, and different other poverty scholars who are ready to be self-determined.
Oh, Mateo. So that's one of her historic books that's in this beautiful 2021-2022 catalog on the street corner catalog of Poor Press. Again, thank you to everybody who is here, and thank you to the San Francisco Public Library and the beautiful Kim Shuck for making this space on this digital street, and for all of you sitting with us tonight and taking in this medicine. We're going to be bringing in the other beautiful Poor Press authors. Again, for folks who are just joining us, Poor Press is a poor people-led press, making sure that poor, houseless, incarcerated, and evicted and unheard authors are heard in their own voices, because we are done with about us without us. So I'm going to bring our beautiful sister, a powerful poverty scholar and a love-volutionary, as she calls herself, and you'll hear why. Lady Audrey Candycorn with Oakland to Iraq.
Greetings, family. How are you guys doing out there in digital street land? My name is Audrey Candycorn, and I'm a grieving yet breathing mother. I had my first son, Torian Desjure Hughes, who is an ancestor, at the tender age of 17, and I lost him at the age of 17, 6 years ago. So with that being said, me and my children, his two brothers, Amir and Zaire, we have aided a way of non-traditional way of healing through telling our story, which is a living live document that allows people who have went through some of the same things that we have went through to kind of have a guide and to feel, to have a safe space where they feel like they belong. So we also have an anti-bullying campaign that goes along with the book. My son's nickname is Ishimi. And so the book that I will be presenting to you today is called Ishimi's Stranger Danger Saga. And we live in Oakland, California, that I like to call it Oakland, Iraq, which is another book that we actually have. And I'm an Oakland native, and it is important for me to not only heal myself, but to make sure that my brothers and sisters in the community also are able to heal. Because we don't live forever, but energy never dies. And so as long as we're able to keep the energy uplifted when we transition, we'll still be doing the work, even outside of our bodies. So with that being said, the time is now. And if you don't know, here in Oakland, California, in the Bay Area, we've been dealing with the schools closing. And the majority of the schools are some of the schools that I grew up with and in. And so this book has to deal with the injustices of schools and the abuse of power and authority when it comes to the school systems. Here we are. Hey, fellow love culture, revolutionaries, and levelopers. Join me and my brothers on my stranger danger quest. It's an anti-bullying campaign to help keep us kids safe. Ishimi wants to help you have a voice. Always remember the 3 B's, and they are 1, be aware. 2, be loud. 3, be courageous. Like me, Ishimi. I am your friend and child advocate. Together, we can change the hearts of evil-doing adults. And so that is the back of the book. And I'm not going to take too much time with reading the book, but basically this book has to deal with a mother and son entrepreneurial family that is grappling with poverty and not choosing to live off of the government in any way. No food stamps, no welfare, no general assistance. So with us creating the books and telling our stories, we are able to generate money and able to pay our bills and sustain. And we are also through the Colonized Academy and the Poets and Homefulness able to sustain our mental stability and deal with our emotions through having a tool of sharing our story with others. And so this story, the last little bit, the reason why we wrote this story is because a man came on the kindergarten campus and told my son at the tender age of 5, "You've been a bad boy. I'm gonna come back, take you, and kill you." Well, this was a case of mistaken identity, which little Black boys have to deal with and men have to deal with all the time. And when you ask why are they scared of the police or have a problem with authority figures, it's because they've had situations and encounters with evil things like this that unfortunately corrupt them. So my son Ishimi had to deal with death threat because he said, "I'm gonna come back, take you, and kill you." He had to deal with a mistaken identity because the man thought that my son had bullied his daughter, but the reality is my little boy just looked like every other little Black boy. So no one should have to deal with this. And I dealt with this during the school district. Me and my children ended up being homeless behind this. And we were kicked out and alienated. And we found ourselves to homefulness. In every sense, we have been nurtured and we've been able to sustain, and we don't deal with mental illness. And we have this book to tell our story, and we also have it to share with others on how to deal with these types of situations. My name is Audrey Candycorn, a grieving yet breathing mother. I coined the word love-volutionary because we are revolutionaries. But if we could take the R-E-V out and put the L-O-V-E in, I think our messages could go just a little bit more further. Thank you.
Oh, Mateo. Oh, Mateo. And I just want to echo what Mama Audrey Candycorn said. Poor press is actually what we call an underground economic strategy. So people can kick down money. 100% of the proceeds go to PovertySkolas as a micro business. Real talk. Again, another revolutionary act of poor press. We don't make money at all on poor press. We as poor people make sure that each other are taken care of. So buy that book if you can. It's a children's book, just like the Mama and Me Lived Outside that I did, and Angel Heart series of children's book, and Leroy Moore series of children's book, and Brother Motiado's Chimali, and there's more. There we have a whole list of beautiful children's books that are made so that a protagonist can be houseless, indigenous, poor, and we can also see ourselves as heroes and sheroes. Anyway, having said that, check out the beautiful Audrey Candycorn.
Thank you so much. And just so that they understand, I did not write this book.
Right.
The 5-year-old little boy wrote the book, and his brother was the illustrator, and his deceased brother is the co-author. So thank you so much.
Ashe. And with that, again, poorpress.net, you can get these beautiful books, so come check them out. A beautiful audience who's sitting with us in this liberation work. And we are going to bring in another sister warrior poverty scholar who struggled with 3, count them, 3 false colonial borders, only to come to this stolen land and deal with poverty and homelessness and separation from her babies. She is the powerful, the beautiful Shiro and Mama Ingrid de Leon. Bienvenidos. And we're gonna have translation by my brother Mutiado Silencio. So please bear with us, as this is also hard. The Zoom struggle is real, family. So Ingrid, necesito no más
Muteado.
muteado. Take yourself off mute. Oh,
Yeah.
she got it. Okay.
¿Se quiere introducir, Ingrid?
Sí, hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Ingrid de León,
Good afternoon, my name is Ingrid de León.
guatemalteca, madre de 4 hijos y abuela de 2.
I'm from Guatemala. I'm the mother of 4 children and the grandma of 2 grandchildren.
Y soy una mujer sobrevividora de la violencia y el abuso doméstico.
And I'm a survivor of violence and also specifically domestic violence.
Y también de la pobreza. Estoy luchando contra eso también.
And again, still struggling with poverty.
Ahora sí ya puedo empezar a leer, ¿verdad?
So now I'm going to share a paragraph of the book that I wrote. Y lea un poquito y luego yo traduzco. ¿Puede enseñar un poquito el libro? Can you show the book, Ingrid?
Gracias.
Ok, voy a leer por poquitos, ¿verdad?
Sí, so I'll read little by little.
Ok. Las palabras tienen tanto poder para construir o destruir.
Words
Y
have,
más
words have so much power in building or destroying.
Y más cuando esas palabras salen de la boca de uno de tus padres.
And more when one of those words come out of the mouth of one of your parents.
A mis 45 años de edad,
At 45 years old,
entendí que yo no puedo más con algo que mi padre, que en paz descanse, hizo.
and at my age, I'm still resentful of something that my father.
O más bien dijo cuando yo era una niña, aproximadamente cuando yo tenía 9 años.
Something that my father stated when I was about 9 years old.
En un lugar lejos de la ciudad, donde solo el canto de las aves alegraban el lugar.
In a faraway place from the city, would the only happiness sounds coming will be the birds chirping away.
El silbido de las montañas sonaban como violines allí.
And again, the wind will make a sound as a violin will be playing.
Yo nací y crecí en un lugar donde éramos 8 hijos y mis padres.
I was born in a family. There was 8 siblings and my 2 parents.
Yo era una niña muy alegre y amada.
As a child, I was very happy and very loved.
Yo pensé que más por mi padre.
I always thought that my father always loved me.
Pues él me decía, mi sequedad, mi niña chula.
Again, he will always will endear me by the names.
Yo era la niña más alegre.
And I was one of the happiest child.
A la edad de 7 años conocí a Dios, aunque no lo he visto.
At the age of 7, I met God even though I have never seen him.
Lo siento en mí.
Again, I could feel his presence.
También me di cuenta que yo usaba zapatos de cuero.
I also found out as a child, I would wear leather shoes.
O de piel, como dicen. Y mis hermanos usaban zapato plástico y botas de hule.
And my siblings, on the other hand, would use cardboard shoes or plastic shoes.
Ese es el primer párrafo.
And that's the first paragraph of my story in my book.
words have power to build and to destroy. Gracias, Ingrid. Muy bien. Gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
Okay. Please support Ingrid, who like Audrey, like Lisa, like Angel Heart, like all of us here. This is a micro business for poor people. Not only is it healing, not only is it powerful to be heard in our own voices, with our own authorship and our own byline, but it's also a way for us to survive. Nosotros, amor, tú, Ingrid, okay. Bye-bye.
Gracias.
De nada. Okay, we're gonna move to another powerful warrior, an amazing poet, a revolutionary, and a rock star of his own accord. My Boricua brother from another mother, Mr. Valvera. Take it away.
Thank you,
Val.
Tiny. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you to the San Francisco Public Library for creating this space. It's always an honor to share the digital space with so many wonderful artists. My book is entitled Crip Lyrics, The Unapologetic Poetry of Disability. And it is an illustrated collection of disability culture and liberation. So I will read one of the pieces out of that book. It is entitled Creation. Look what you've done, what you've created. Quiet poster child turned crip, unapologetic and jaded. Shunned by able views, shaped by privileged views. Who he's supposed to be, where she's supposed to be, what they're supposed to be. A drain on society, a grain of silent compliancy. The irony, loud and rebellious, proud and overzealous. Expectations of us wilt like soggy lettuce. Did you forget us? Stigmatized, infantilized, menace to able society, surprised? Pounding this chest, King Kong, flexing his best, Crip Kong, chained to stereotypes, we carry that cross. Elegantly, flamboyantly, our culture is boss. Advocating, celebrating, graduating, legislating, aggravating the status quo, educating, we reap what you sow, motivating, we rise above the low, our imagination wild, our ingenuity and style, venomous, ravenous, sensuous, a subtle guile. Look what you've done, behold, your invention, disabled and proud, ableism's creation. Thank you, everyone.
I just want to say, Crip Lyrics, follow him on all the digital streets. Also, a warrior for disability justice, a powerful artist, and an amazing poet. We love you, Val.
I love you too. Thank you, everyone.
All right, all right. And again, kick down that change if you got it. Get a copy of his book, please, poorpress.net. Sister Angel Heart is putting in the actual direct links for all these books as well. Thank you. So we're going to call out, without further ado, another warrior, poverty scholar, formerly houseless, badass from occupied Squaxin territory, aka so-called Olympia, Washington. None other than the warrior, the chalker, the anti-police terror warrior, and just badass, Lisa Gray-Garcia. Welcome to the
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tiny. It's so awesome to be at these events and be surrounded by so many awesome poets and writers. I'm grateful to be here. Thanks to the library. Thanks to Kim Shuck. Thanks to all our ancestors. This is the book. This is my very first book ever. It's called What's My Address? And it was written because of my family here with Poor Press and POOR Magazine. We met as a group and we published these 6 books that we're so excited about. This is mine. So I'm going to read one piece from it called Escape to the Blueberries. This is my book. escape to the Blueberries. For a while as a grown-up, I'd run errands for my mom. I'd help her keep her bird cage clean, take out her garbage, make sure she had what she needed. I even bought her a pot a few times. I could see that what she was getting wasn't right. I'd grocery shop for her. It always took so long because her lists were all over the place, and she'd send me into Cub, this big grocery store over by Northtown Mall. Sometimes I'd pitch in a few bucks, get her things that weren't on the list. Special treats. I was trying to get her to eat less processed food and also not take away the choices she was making. She had a hard time keeping weight on, disabled and chronically ill. She got foods that were easy to make. There were organic blueberries on sale and they tasted delicious, so I got her a pint. When I got back to my mom's apartment, I had to rush off after putting away her groceries instead of sticking around like I usually would. Later, I saw she sent me a couple texts and also tried to call. "Legs, I need to talk to you about the blueberries," she said. I was thinking, uh-oh, maybe she didn't know what to do with them or was upset because they were expensive. I texted her that I paid for them and I was sorry for getting the things not on the list. She said she couldn't text about it. She had to talk to me, so I called her. She told me a story the way she once in a while would, a vibrant, colorful story of her childhood that was not about the trauma. It was the balm for the trauma. Eating those blueberries straight from the package brought my mom back to the last time she remembered eating blueberries. Tears welled up in my eyes and the hair raised on my arms. I've always said that my mom was an unrealized poet, and you know what? Maybe my favorite poet without ever having been published. I wrote this poem for my mom from her story. Please run free, little girl, knock-kneed, summer breeze, Michigan by the water. Face and hands stained purple blue. Tummy so full, almost sick, you said. Running, laughing, escaped to the blueberries. You are healed. You are the sword you wield. You were meant to be exactly how you are right now, to be free. I wrote the following lyrics on the plane 10 days after Nomi's mom, Melinda, died. Nomi and I were on our way to so-called Coon Rapids to pull my mom off of life support. 10 days between two matriarchal deaths. Sometimes the tools we use, we choose to survive, take our lives. And I thought that you and I would have more time. Rest in power, Mom. Sam Ganser, born in September 20th, 1951, left to join the ancestors on October 7th, 2017. Without her, I wouldn't have written this book. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you.
Eva, yeah.
Awesome. Sis.
And Lisa is a poverty scholar up in that territory. Check out her book. Support her, please. Support them. And I just want to give another shout out to the warriors all up in so-called occupied Bellingham and Olympia, Stevie, and so many more, Sin, because they are calling us up along with their ancestors and along with the First Nations peoples of those lands to actually launch another homefulness. Again, like my brother Moot said, this is a template, and it's really, we say homefulness the world. So much love, Lisa, and everyone up there. So we want to bring out, without further ado, another warrior, another Indigenous poverty scholar who's doing a beautiful series of children's books to bring the real history of these colonized lands to our babies, because we know what we are taught in these institutional schools. Welcome everyone, the amazing but beautiful Angel Heart.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Kim Shuck and the San Francisco Library for hosting us this evening, and for everyone attending, thank you for being here. My work with sacred site protection and rights of indigenous tribes was about removing Native American mascots from public schools. And during that time, I found that teachers were looking for supplemental education, specifically around the mission systems and the projects that fourth graders are forced to do in that regard. So with the permission of from the traditional spokesperson of the Confederated Villages of Lishan Karina Gould, I was allowed to write the story of her people in the voice of her grandson, Kai. So my Kai series was last year, my first book was Orsay Tuhey, My Name is Kai. And now this year I'm following it up, thankfully, by Poor Press and Solidarity Family and everyone that gives into the Bank of Community Reparations. I was able to do Orsay Tuhey, Kai talks about the missions as a follow-up to Orsay Tuhey, My Name is Kai. And I'm hoping that later on this year, I will be able to do a book about the shell mounds. So I'm going to read from my book, and I'm going to start with the introduction. The truth about California missions and what his ancestors have went through and endured, Kai tells his story. Inspired by the need for children to learn the truth about this land, and with permission from Karina, as said before, this book was created as a sequel to Orsay Tuhey, My Name is Kai. Orsay Tuhey, it's Kai from Huichen. In the last book, Orsay Tuhey, My Name is Kai, I taught you that Orsay Tuhey means good day. You may also remember that Huichen, or Oakland, California, is one of the territories me and my ancestors are from. The Ohlone have lived in Huichen and the East Bay since the beginning of time. We are First Nations peoples and protectors of the earth. I'm going to move further into the book, page 16. When Ohlone land was stolen to create California, some of the first laws made it illegal to be First Nations. California spent $1.4 million killing First Nations peoples. Colonizing settlers were given $5 for the head and 25 cents for the ears of Indians they killed, Ohlone Indians. Today, kids in fourth grade history class learn about First Nations of the land that we now call California. Kids learn how my people used to dress, what we used to eat, and how we used to live, not realizing that the Ohlone are still here. Then, when kids go to the fifth grade, they learn about the California Gold Rush and never hear or continue to learn about my ancestors anymore. My ancestors had to go into hiding and had to pretend they weren't Ohlone so they could save their own lives. My Ohlone ancestors stayed hidden for a very long time because they were afraid. The Ohlone elders were scared to talk about who they were as a people. My ancestors were afraid of going to jail for being Ohlone. But now my grandma is working to save our shell mounds and to get back our stolen land. She believes in truth-telling and history and says, our people have always been here. My grandma honors our ancestors and so do I. I'm Kai and I'm proud to be a strong Lishan Ohlone. Thank you again.
Morgan.
Good job, family. Again, support the Sister Warrior Angel Heart. Also, consider getting any and all of these books. If you're a teacher, if you're anywhere in front of children or adults or families or mamas or babies, these are curriculum. Again, as poor people, we also create curriculum. Because we don't have a piece of paper from an institution that says that we're scholars. We are poverty scholars, and our scholarship is life. And our ancestors, our poetry, and our prayer. So check out Beautiful Angel Heart series. Get it in your classroom. Get it in front of your nephews and nieces and children and grandchildren, and all the children's books that we have as well. So again, on that same beautiful tip, we want to bring in another warrior, my brother, my Mama Dee's other son, and an amazing poet, an artista, a warrior, a border resistor, the one and only Muteado Silencio presente, Miguel Ebro, with his beautiful book, Chimali.
Thank you everyone again. It's just a blessing to be here with my comrades, PovertySkolas on POOR Magazine. And again, for everyone who organizes space, to utilize our words, our palabras, our art, which also, as we telling these stories, we know there's healing behind it. Is one of the things that we appreciate here at POOR Magazine. And also a direct show of resistance in the racist classes, published industry here in the U.S., not only the U.S., but the majority across the world. And so, yes, my book Chimali, which is bringing some of the images and some of the Aztecs, different tribes from Mexico. And literally what I'm trying to do with this is bring some of these images. I also explain, that this is not witchcraft, that this is not, that our ancestors prayed to was the water, was the sun, was to Mother Earth, to the wind, and just explain a little bit more what each concept of some of these images that we see, like the Aztec calendar, and again, but also it is to expose some of the young generations to know about this art. This even as we speak now, some of the indigenous art from Mexico was taken to museums in Vienna and different parts of Europe, which is still located in there. And so also I did a little writing, to go with the book of the meaning behind it too. As an indigenous person, coming from poverty and struggle, I didn't have the opportunity to go to any art institute or Academy of Art, or have the privilege to do none of that, which also this book and my art, I want to challenge that I think as indigenous people, who we plaster our art in some of these pyramids, in some of these teocallis still standing now, that we don't need degrees from academia to be artists, to be writers, and to be creators, and to be dreamers. And so this is a little bit of what I wrote in the back. As an indigenous person from the Purépecha people of Michoacán, Mexico, displays here in the United States in Huichin, my intention is to inspire our indigenous people to take the brushes, the paintings, the mud, and remember that we have our craftsmen, there are grand and great grandparents, abuelitos and abuelitos, were architects, creators, craftsmen. And again, that we don't need to spend thousands of dollars in schools or academies to be recognized as artists. That we bring the art in our veins, and then we just have to connect with our roots, with our abuelitas, with our ancestors, and with the memory of our people. Yes, and thank you again, POOR Magazine, San Francisco Public Library, and all the folks who create these places and these Zoom media for us to share our stories, our palabras, and our artwork.
Awesome.
I just want to again do another shout out for Mutz and Angel Heart, for Lisa Ganser, for Valvera, for Ingrid De Leon, for Audrey Candycorn, and for my brother D. Allen, who has a whole beautiful amount of books as well on the Poor Press site, and is humbly helping us and standing with us, but also is an amazing poet, as well as Frances Moore, Auntie Frances. But yeah, check these books out. Moteado is humble, but those are original art that he painted. Chimalis or a shield, and that's what he did. So those artwork that he has in there, that's his artwork, and it's very beautiful.
And now we're going to bring on the last 2022 Poe Press author to the mic. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge the Alameda Poet Laureate just stepped into the Zoom room, Miss Kimmy Sugioka.
Whee! Thank you so much.
And Nomadic Press author Norma Smith.
Oh, Mateo, so much.
And the last author that's going to come up to the mic will be the editor-in-chief of Poe Press herself, Tiny. And she's going to be promoting her new book, The Sidewalk Motel.
Yes!
I love my brother D.
The PovertySkola.
But as all of my family know, there's no chiefs over here, family. We all and so I'm the co-editor, the co-madre, and the co-scholar. And I have to shout out my mama, for without whom there would be no us. Mama D. Ibaye, a broken, terrorized Boricua, Afro-Boricua sister who whose body and life was destroyed by the time she was 3 years old as an unprotected child. Again, we're looking at people when they're on the street, as I say in my opening poem, and people perpetrate what I call the violent act of looking away because they just can't deal with it. They can't deal with the homeless problem. So they'd rather see us swept, a hygienic metaphor like we're trash. And I want to lift that up when we talk about this because the whole point of the Sidewalk Motel, Homes and Potionary, that's my Poor People's Dictionary from a poverty scholar, because I do like to mess with the colonial language that wasn't ours to begin with. They determine who can speak, who has byline privilege based on how well you can speak their imposed language. So I'm going to hopefully read two pieces here. One of them, because Dr. Cuellar Jose started us out. This is a poem in honor of him, Luis Rodriguez, another tío of mine, and my mama D. Angel baby, my angel baby, ooh, I love you, ooh, I do. No one could love you like I do. The lowrider lecturer presents his thesis on the backseat of a Chevy Impala. The words sail through the sky and out the narrow institutional school windows, refusing to be caught by the mandate of white supremacist tests. The story that only some people can be teachers and others are set for arrest. The Cholo Doctor has lettres behind his name that sway and sashay to the sounds of war and Frankie Ballet. When I hear the Cholo Doctor, my corazón skips a beat because he teaches that the knowledge is within us, our corazones, our almas, puro amor, our hands, our feet, our work, our struggle. La vida loca and the institution can meet. The Cholo Doctor brings medicine to the minds of all of us caught in the trauma of colonization and Gregorian time. To my Boricua ghetto fabulous mama, who was told she was nothing and could be nothing, and no matter what, refused to believe their pinche lies. The Cholo Doctor is your mama, your uncle, your tío, your abuelita, your street corner preacher, your gardener, your dishwasher, and lives in your own mind. The lowrider lecturer delivers lecturas and poesía and música and prayer and dreams. The lowrider lecturer is busy. He and she are mixing their trajectories and developing their newest canons while they wash your dishes, mow your lawn, and make your burrito with beans. They are having their think tanks and their test prep sessions in front of the Home Depot. And if you want to pass the test called life, you better listen carefully to their lecturas because they don't have time to repeat them or say them twice. Between holding down 3 and 4 jobs, caregiving for your baby, struggling with false borders and fake notions of who is a scholar and who is a teacher for life. Oh Mateo, Mama D, oh Mateo, to all my fellow poverty scholars, Luis Tamaj burned alive for sleeping outside in San Francisco. Luis Demetrio Gongora Pat, killed by a 311 call because someone wanted to help him and all they needed to do is let him be. Oh Mateo. Stop the sweeps, family. Recognize we all have right to these stolen streets. So I'm going to ask my beautiful sister, Kim Shuck, to end us on a poem tonight.
Seems a little forced, except that this poem showed up in my Facebook memories just the other day. And it's about a friend that I made who was sleeping on the streets and then who died about a year later. But this was our story.
Oh, Mateo.
We are so gentle with one another. maybe because I spoke to you the first time we met with your collection of essential, mysterious things that you carry everywhere, and the look of an addict when you asked if I had cigarettes. And I don't. I haven't for over 22 years now. Something about having babies, or possibly that I never really loved it myself, aside from something to do with my nervous fingers. But I had found a lighter on the way down the hill, and you can have that. And then this morning, a morning full of hum, of levels not quite right, of not being able to help, of a mistake I see coming and I can't get out of the way of. And you stopped me and handed me a single earring with a bead carved for luck, asked me if I could use it. And yes, I don't know your name, but I can use that bead. And I hope that the lighter works and that you either manage a cigarette today or learn to do without. Those gentle hands reaching through what might be a barrier between us into suspected shared humanity. I'll take that luck and I'll thank you for it. Thank you so much.
It's beautiful.
That's from 10 years ago. It just sort of popped up on my feed. I am so grateful that you guys came and shared this time with us. I'm just going to reiterate again to people, check out Poor Press. The books are really good. Tiny's book is incredible. We sort of not spoken about this. D. Allen didn't read tonight, really, but he's got a new book coming.
Yeah, but I did. I read from the Homefulness Handbook.
You did. You didn't read from your new poetry book that's coming out, though.
Actually,
I'm just saying, I'm outing you. I know it's not part of Poor Press. But anyway.
Go ahead. Please.
This year in 2022, I have not only released not one, but 2 new poetry books.
Oh my God.
And they both premiered in the same week. My 6th book, Rusty Gallows, Passages Against Hate, was released on Tuesday, February 1st. And my 7th book, Plans, was released on last Saturday, February 5th, on Nomadic Press.
Oh my God. Check
Just
out
saying, there's a lot of talent here tonight, and I thank you so much. Thank you to John Smalley and the San Francisco Public Library for just letting me do and invite the people that I feel like hearing. I really enjoyed you guys tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Small,
and
for having us.
I just, you guys are heading up to Washington. That's where my little girl died. So offer a prayer for me, please, when you get up there.
Oh my God, for sure.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
where we lost my baby. So anyway, take care. Good night, everybody. Be blessed.
Good night.
See you next month. Take
Thank
care.
you so much. Thank you. Thank you to all the warriors who are here with us. It means
Thanks
so
so
much.
much. Yes.
Yes.